All right, we're going to call to order the March 12th Board of Fair Commissioners meeting, and we start each meeting with a legal notice as information for our audience. If you're not satisfied with the decision made by the Metropolitan Board of Fair Commissioners today, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of cert with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of entry of the board's decision. To ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met, please be advised that you should contact your own independent legal counsel. Okay, the meeting is called to order, and we have minutes from the previous meeting, February 12th, that have been circulated for review and approval in case we need to tweak anything, adjust, recognize anything that's not covered here. And if the minutes have been viewed, we can approve them.
Move to approve.
Is there any discussion? If none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Those minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is public comment time. We have a microphone here at the podium. We allot 3 minutes for public comments per person. If you'd like to speak and be recognized at this time, you can step forward. State your name and address, please. Nobody's leaping forward. We can move on with monthly reports. Morning, Felicia.
Good morning. Good morning. The financials for the period ending February 28th, 2019. These numbers are not final as the books have not closed for the month of February. Revenue for February, $2,039,382. Expenditures, $2,200,254 for a net loss of February of $160,872. Depreciation for the month of February, $218,290. So if you factored in depreciation, the net loss would be $379,162. Our fund balance for the period ending January 31st, 2019 is zero. We're not in the red, but not in the black as well. So the balance is zero for the month of January 31st. The breakdown of our expenses, as you can see below, payroll, year to date, $911,740. Utilities, $512,593. Purchase services, $165,001. Supplies, $83,981. Communication, $19,438. Temporary services, $122,310. Security services, $71,446. IT services, $90,972. Insurance and permits and LOCAP, $222,773, which makes up the total expenses of $2,200,254. If you look at our dashboards, give you a better picture of how the expenses are looking. Payroll remains our largest expense at 44%. Utilities, 21%. Insurance permits, 13%. Purchase services, 6%. And then the other areas, 4% and 1%. Our revenue distribution, flea market continues to be our main revenue source, 39%. Building rent, 18%. Parking, 15%. And the track, 12%. And then we have concessions, state fair, and rental equipment bringing up the rear. On our revenue trend, for the month of February, we are at $236,274 for revenue brought in for the month of February. This time last year in February, we were at $321,862. So that's a difference of about $85,000. And I'm sure everyone realizes that the weather has not been very cooperative with us this year. So we took a big hit in the month of February and also in the month of January with flea market revenue. But historically, those are lower months as well, but the rain played a bigger part in the drop in revenue, even lower than what we were expecting. Our expenses, we are at $255,246 for the month of February. Last month, we were at $261,851. So again, we're trying to keep our expenses at a minimum. If any repairs are not, if they don't need to be made, we're not making them. So we're being very frugal in the area of our expenses, trying to keep them down as best as possible. We also still have 3 vacant positions that are open. So there's a savings in the payroll area as well as the fringe benefits area. So we're being very mindful of the fact that our revenues are lower than what we expected for this time of the year, and we're not filling those positions to balance out and to help in that area.
Thank you. Anybody have questions?
If not, the other thing I want to say is that we have not finalized the 2019-2020 budget. We're still working on that. We have, I believe, 2 weeks before it's finalized. We are also turning in projections for this year end, for this fiscal year end, which will be June 30. And we're looking at whether or not we will need a supplemental in order to have a positive fund balance. We don't know that yet. So just a heads up, we are looking at projecting where we will be for the year end for the city. We don't know yet if we will need that, but we are looking at it.
A request for you and Laura. I think in years past had been practiced to kind of, I guess, share the budget. I think before it goes to council or budget hearings, if it could be shared.
Okay. Okay. That's all I have.
Thank you. All right. We can move along to Executive Director's report.
Just one item. The rest I will hold for the remaining agenda items. We anticipate that the food and beverage contract is going to be finalized this week. Hopefully today it goes for routing. I'm going to thank Commissioner McAnally for your help on that. It's substantially similar to what we had the past 5 years. What I will do is go ahead and put a term sheet together for you so that you can see the difference. But essentially, it is the same. Probably the biggest difference with this version of the contract is we did contemplate corkage fees for anyone who wanted to bring in food that was not through our concessionaire D&D events, that our previous agreements did not contemplate such a thing, and so we've just outlined that so that it is kind of set on how that process would work if someone came in. That would happen in a way that if an event came in, say, with a national sponsor, maybe something that we can't offer, that would give an opportunity to, but yet still maintain revenue for the fairgrounds as well.
Does that only include the expo and not the soccer facility?
That's correct. We excluded the future construction of the stadium and the mixed use.
Do we have any different language this year around food trucks, and if food truck vendors wanted to come in, or is that still part of the whole net?
And we do food trucks in most of our events and the flea market, so that remains.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, we can move along to the Fairgrounds Improvement Project. An update, please. Morning. Good, thanks. Is it on? There we go.
All right, there you go. Thanks, Laura. Well, good morning again. I'm going to start by giving a budget update. In front of you in your package, you should have a spreadsheet, the one you're very familiar with seeing on a monthly basis. I'll start by letting you all know that there's been one material change to the format of that budget. What we've done is move the $1.8 million that we have allocated for demolition of existing structures. We've now pulled that down into kind of a separate line item, very similar to what we've done with the grandstands on previous months. What that does is give a much more accurate view of our progress in terms of, from a financial perspective, how you're looking at the Expo project. You actually get to go down there and see that today, so I think it's really important that I detail that the numbers that you're looking at right now are 30 to 45 days behind what's actually happened out on site. But in moving that line item down, now those percentages are much more accurate to where we are from a financial perspective in terms of dollars paid. So as of the beginning of March, we had spent over $5 million, so we've crossed that threshold. You'll now see in the line item under construction, we now are about $3.6 million. That's reflective of work completed on site through the end of January. So you'll go out there today and see much more than that done. But from a financial standpoint, that's how much been paid there. Overall, now we're starting to get into the teens in terms of our percentage for the project, again, reflective of a 30 to 45 day lag. What we're going to do moving forward is keep updating this in that format. So if there are questions about how that's laid out, please let me know. I think that is a much more accurate view of the Expo project. I will also highlight that we are now a majority of the way done with our design work in terms of payment. We're at about 60% of our allocated funds there, so we're continuing to monitor that. We're looking like we're not going to need to expend all of those funds, but of course, as the project is still progressing, we continue to monitor that. We've also maintained our allocation for FF&E at $1.1 million. That line item's not been changed. It's also not been tapped yet, so there's been no dollars spent from that line item. In terms of project management, we're just under $400,000 spent in terms of time for project management, as well as other services on the site that include materials testing, which is ongoing right now. So you'll see that a lot of dirt has been moved on site. We've been working with the firm Terracon. They've been monitoring all of that work for us, doing a great job. But again, that's captured in that project management and other related expenses area. And so that's been tracking along as well. Design and project management, just so the board is aware, those dollars are much more current So that's probably reflective of work that's happened in February. So construction's a little bit longer of a lag time, whereas the project management, the design, and those special inspections and materials testings are a little bit tighter. They're probably about 15 to 20 days behind, just for perspective when you're going out there and looking at this number and taking it over to the site. Overall, again, you'll see the new line item for demolition has been brought down, no dollars paid there. Infrastructure in the park, what's been done there is the allocation that's being shown is for current retainage that's being held. Right now, the plan is to have the fairgrounds hold the retainage for that project. So parks money has been, for the most part, spent on that project. They have a few dollars remaining there, and then funds for maintenance and correcting some of the things that may have been impacted by the weather events. And so now I've been working with Laura, letting her know that the fairgrounds is now in charge of managing the remainder of the project and the flow of funds that are coming there. So we've been working closely to get that sorted out. The next and last, I guess, line item in the overall breakdown that still has some movement is grandstands. So we've paid to date just over $840,000. Very little movement. There's some items that have to have retainage released. So the work that has been completed to date, there'll be some retainage releases there. But again, those funds are moving quite slowly now. There's very little works happening there. The last line item under repairs, demolition, and site master planning, no movement in those dollars really. That's just basically to make sure that we have a little bit of funds in case we need something to close out or any other type of master site questions that may go to our design and engineering team. So in total, we've crossed the threshold of $7.6 million. So for a total spent as of the beginning of March of $7.6 million. Out of the overall $42 million allocated. Questions? Yep.
Thank you, Ed. On the contractors spreadsheet, I wanted to get clarity on two terms at the top. Can you tell me what SBE and SDBBE is?
Yes, so you jumped ahead of us a little bit, Caleb. That's actually Roxanne's part of it, but I can answer the question for you unless Roxanne would like to do that. Are there budgetary questions before I turn it over? All right, well, I guess you've got all the excitement, so I'll sit it for you.
Thanks, Kate. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Just to follow up where Ed was, as it relates to diversity participation, all of the dollars that were spent prior to the expo, we are tracking to at least achieve our 20% participation, if not exceed. To answer the question, we're talking small minority women, disabled veterans, businesses. Caleb, that kind of gets you where you got to go there. But as we move forward, we've actually procured most of the dollars that need to be procured for the Expo project. So we're currently tracking that. We've got probably one or two more packages that need to go out for the Expo. But I would think that we are going to achieve our 30% participation on that part of the project. And just to give you a little tidbit as it relates to the numbers, our total minority businesses, we have 13, small businesses, we have 10, and 19 women businesses currently on the project, which I think 42 diversity businesses on this size project is a pretty good number. So we're excited about that. Inside your packets, you do have a sheet that was prepared by our construction management team, Skanska, that shows you those businesses that they are particularly handling, and that's the ones that we're tracking as well. So currently, as it relates to diversity businesses, all of the money that was spent prior to Expo, we are tracking to achieve target for the Expo and beyond is 30% participation.
Spreadsheet, the column that's AE/. There's a diversity.
That's exactly right. It's right next to it. That's exactly right. Yes. I was hoping I tried to make that kind of as uniform as I possibly could on that. But yeah, that was the document that we actually do the tracking, and you'll see in those last columns off to the right of that, it actually has an X marks that shows you what their classifications are. Any questions?
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Well, it's been 28 days since we last reported, and we've had a ton of progress, and the rainiest February on record. So that's always delightful when you're working through the winters. But if you'll go down, as those of you who are going to be able to tour the site today are going to see that Expo 3 has been framed up. We're putting roofing on. It is coming, the shell is coming together. Expo 1, the slabs poured, will be, we're getting started on the erecting the steel on that. We've made a lot of progress. We've not made as much progress in dirt removal as we would have hoped because of the rain. But we're getting there. If we can get a few dry weeks in, that would really be nice. But those of you who are going to be on a tour will see that we're coming together. We're still scheduled to finish this summer. We're beginning to get into the detail about first events, when those events will happen, how they'll be blended into the overall schedule of the fairgrounds, as well as we're beginning to work on the FF&E and trying to make sure we've got all the equipment essential to operations here on time. There may be some other things that come in over a period of months, but that right now we're dealing with Laura and her staff to determine, what's really critical and get those things here as soon as possible. The infrastructure project, our hope is to start construction on that in the fall. Purchasing department is issuing an RFQ for design team to work on that. And as y'all recall, that's being handled through the Sports Authority. The MLS stadium itself is in design phase. We're working with the construction managers on board. We're working with them and the design team and trying to finalize the basic concepts and how all of that will be integrated into the new stadium. They have hired, I think I mentioned last time, they just hired their new chief operating officer for the stadium. So he's come in and brought a lot of good ideas, a lot of practical solutions to things. So all of that is being incorporated as we speak right now. So that's the big overview. Look forward to taking you guys on a tour. Any questions?
Just have one addition. We're going to be issuing 3 RFPs through our office. One is for audio-visual and PA. The other one is for security. And the third is for kitchen equipment and installation. We're going to be doing that through us. That way we can kind of have that going simultaneously with the construction. So we're working with the subs and our consultants on those particular items. And those probably get the first one out very soon.
I have a question. What kind of dialogue have we had with the representatives of the State Fair?
Well, quite a bit. We have had an introductory meeting a few weeks ago to get just an introductory layout of what the plans look like, starting that discussion with the logistics. Scott Jones and Kate and David Lewis have spent much more time kind of behind the scenes working on logistics, more than I have been. And then we have another follow-up meeting today at 1 to again start diving in and figuring everything out. So many hours, probably 8-10 hours with.
I mean, I know I personally sat in a meeting probably 2 or 3 months ago. We a lot of talk about how animals would be, and dealing with different challenges of loading and unloading and excrement and such. Yet I saw a comment in the paper by Mr. Rose saying there'd been no dialogue, nobody's ever talked to them. And so I'm curious, has anybody talked to Scott Jones? Have we talked about the animals? I mean, I heard lots of planning and discussion about animals. Is there any update on that?
We are. You know, we talked to State Fair originally while we were through the earlier design phases. Certainly, there were some suggestions and movement that we made on the design to accommodate livestock handling, which were very specific to the State Fair. Not to say that challenges don't remain, and we're working through those with Scott and Kate now. And you know, we all have the same goal, is to help each other make this event successful. And I would say that it's been very cooperative, very positive. We've moved forward with a lot of efforts to accommodate the fair this year, and we're going to make more progress today.
I think that I sent that press piece around to the board the other day. Anyway, I've sat in meetings and there's been lots of discussion, and I assume I've encouraged Scott to knows where we are. So, and the time clock is ticking for this fall.
And there's been several conversations as well about with the stadium team and the mixed-use team about what's going to be available when for 2019 versus 2020, and then 2021 when things are beginning to get complete. So those conversations are going on as well. And, you know, the facilities are, you know, we've made accommodations for livestock and other animals. Now that the State Fair is back engaged, then we're having a lot more conversations about just how to make all that work. But
Thank you.
anything else?
Do we have as to at least not the fields? I know it's a little further, but Fair Park and when parts of Fair Park are opening? Are there? I think there's a lot of use going on right now.
Dogs over there, yeah.
Yeah, we got the approval yesterday for the temporary use and occupancy permit, so we should be good to go.
You got to have several agencies sign off on that.
Yeah.
I think the last agency, Laura did an excellent job of working with them to resolve their concerns. We are doing some things as part of the Expo project that's going to be around Browns Creek that will help facilitate some of that as well. But
Do you have any updates on our friends at the Election Commission?
we asked that question repeatedly. We're now being told it's probably going to be the fall, late summer or fall. They have to build another facility, and it has to be certified by the state. So, Laura, do you know anything else?
Yes, we've certainly met with General Services, and Ron is correct. They've got to build out their new facility over in Antioch in order to move the equipment. It is not feasible to temporarily relocate due to cost and the fact that, as Ron mentioned, the state has to approve any storage of the voting machines. So moving them temporarily just to move them again, it's just not feasible. So we've done the work that we can. The open air shelter is there and constructed. So we'll schedule the demolition of that building once they relocate, and it could correspond with the remaining demolition on the hill.
We're looking at packaging that in with the big demolition project on the hill.
So,
I want that added as an item of old business for every
Don't need it.
agenda
I'll
from
remember.
now
I'm
on
like the
until
elephant. I'll
we
remember.
get resolution for Commissioner Hemmer.
Okay. All right, so I think we've covered B, correct? Update on Speedway Motorsports.
The update is no update. I've not seen a proposal, so we will just keep this on the agenda for next month.
Okay, then next would be the 2019 World of Outlaws event.
Yeah, my apologies. I didn't realize the Formosas were out of state. They are traveling, so we do have representatives here from World of Outlaws. So I will turn it over to Mr. Rittenberry.
Thank you, Laura. And thank you again for the opportunity to give us the opportunity to come present to you this morning. I know last time we were here, we met and we presented you our proposal, and there were a few concerns from the commissioners, primarily dirt, dust, mitigation of that, as well as the safety of the event. So today we've prepared a document for you with just a few more details. We have finalized our plan from a safety standpoint. Mr. Tom Deary from the World of Outlaws is here with us as well, and he can report on some of this. But I just want to run through some of this with you briefly and then answer any questions that you may have. I know originally when we presented this, you guys were concerned with the dust, and Laura and I've met several times, and she shared those concerns. Obviously, with your construction underway and that proposing to be completed by the summer, by the time of our event, and what the dust could mean for that construction, especially with your expo building with close proximity to the track. So we, again, have continued to provide assurances to Laura that the event will not create any more dust or dirt than a standard construction project. I mean, with vehicles driving on dirt, it's going to produce about the same amount of dust particles and dust in the air. The dirt that we use, the soil mixture that we use is very similar to that that's used indoors at Bridgestone Arena, at Nissan Stadium. It's actually the same dirt and the same dirt contractor. So you'll see here we have selected our dirt contractor, and it is Shane Trucking, which is the same contractor that does dirt for every other motorsports event in the city. At Bridgestone, at Nissan, as well as the State Fair. They're the company that provides the dirt for the monster truck events here at the Speedway. And they have assured us that that will be the same soil and dirt mixture. Tom has actually gone out and taken a look at that. So it is, there's a lot of clay in it. It's not a dusty, and we also have to keep it very moist for the event. So racing is not, it's not good on dry dirt, and it's not safe either. So we will keep that watered throughout the event to keep that dust down. However, we have provided and are willing to provide in any kind of document that you would like, that in the event that it does provide additional maintenance to that building, if your air filters need to be cleaned after the event, whatever may occur, we will obviously incur those costs and take care of the expenses for that. Moving on from the dirt, we did just provide you a map with the restricted areas. So all the infield area will be restricted area. Those will require signing an insurance waiver that's provided by our insurance company, as well as a wristband. Those will be primarily participants, so majority not be fans in those restricted areas. And moving on to the wall and fence improvements. Again, we have finalized our plan. I know when we were originally here, we said there were multiple options. We wanted to consult with our insurance broker as well as Laura and the Formosas to see how much they may want to put into this project versus how much was going to be strictly on us, and how much we wanted to be temporary versus permanent. So we have come up with a plan that we're funding 100%. The Formosas aren't putting any in. And obviously, there's no funds coming from the fairgrounds for this. So with our plan, just briefly, it is adding an additional row of guardrail to what is currently there. So if you look at that small infield fence on the front stretch, there's a concrete barrier wall. Then there's a row of guardrail. So our plan would be to add another additional row of guardrail above the one that's there now. Adding an additional fence post between all of the ones that are there. So those would be 15 feet on center, and then adding 3 additional steel cables. And the steel cables basically just hold anything in that were to get up into the fence. There's still cables there now, but we would add 3 additional ones to get those a little higher. So if something were to get into the fence, it would not be as easy to get outside the fence. So that's about a $18,000 improvements to that 845 feet of wall on the inside of the main front stretch there. And again, this plan has been reviewed and approved by our insurance broker. That's Jeff Ladd, and he is the same insurance broker that insures the fairgrounds, the Speedway now. Jeff specializes in motorsports, and he is the insurance broker for World of Outlaws as well as the track. So he has a double interest in making sure this event is safe because he insures both the World Outlaws, the series that's coming, as well as the track that it's being hosted at. So Jeff's seen this plan, approved this plan, and feels comfortable with it, as well as Mr. Deary, who is the expert in the industry. From the flag stand, we are going to move the flag stand back. It's a little low, and I think the Formosas are very happy with that as well. So that will help them, and that'll be a permanent change. So we'll move that flag stand back from the track a little bit and raise it up a little higher. So actually makes it safer for their flagmen, even on their other weekly events and any other event that they were to hold here. And we'll do that obviously at our cost. From the electrical service line, there are a couple of electrical lines that run over turn 2. They're actually not connected to anything in the infield now. There were old lines that used to be used, I think, when Fanfare was here. So the electrical service is there, but we're just going to pull those lines out. And obviously, we'll put those back in the infield if the Formosas would like for us to do that. We're not disconnecting any service, just pulling the lines over so they're not over the track during the event. And then the last item from a safety standpoint is the front stretch step cut. So when you're walking onto the track, there's some stairs kind of cut out into the wall there. That's not real safe to have an opening in the wall. So we'll either fill that, if Formosas would like us to do it permanently, we'll do it permanently. If not, we'll do it temporarily for our event with concrete blocks and fill that gap in the fence with fence panels and cabling. So total, it's about $24,000 in improvements, temporary, with the exception of the flag stand. That one will be permanent. We have offered to the Formosas to leave the guardrail and the cabling. Obviously, that's, as I mentioned, our first time presenting to you. We're hoping that this is going to be an annual event more than 1 year. So it doesn't make sense for us to come and put the improvements into the fence and then take them back out. But if the Formosas would like for us to do that, we obviously will. But we're willing to put that in and leave that and make those permanent repairs to increase the safety of that catch fence on the infield. I didn't mention when I was speaking about the restricted area, we are going back 40 feet. So on the back side of the wall where we are, the fence, where we are reinforcing all the fence, we're going to have a safety area, runoff area 40 feet behind that. So behind that wall and down the hill, there won't be anything there. No cars parked, no spectators, no participants. Be restricted area completely just as a runoff in case something were to, something were to happen. We don't anticipate that, and we feel like the safety of that catch fence is there, but just to provide additional safety and hopefully for the comfort of this board and the Formosas and Laura, we're just going to make that a restricted area where no one's in that area at all if something were to happen.
Thank you. Any questions, folks?
What's the contractual status? Are we where are we on the I don't know who this question goes to on an addendum to document this?
Legal has been working on getting that going. We had some concerns given that we had not had any report recently. So legal was not in a position to move forward with an amendment on the contract until we got some information from World of Outlaws with regard to that. If you don't mind, I do have a few questions in that vein so that we can move forward. You mentioned wristbands as it related to risk waiver. Can you talk a little bit more about what that is and what that means for this particular event?
Absolutely. So there's a waiver that our insurance company provides. So anyone that's in a restricted area, meaning an infield, anyone where there's race cars working or driving in a pit area, very similar to what the Formosas do on a weekly basis. A matter of fact, it's the exact same waiver that they sign on a weekly basis because it's the same insurance company. But the insurance company provides that, but it's just a release of liability waiver. And once they sign that, they're given the wristband to show that they've signed that waiver, and they have to have that wristband to get into that restricted area.
Okay, and could we see that waiver? Could that be sent to the board?
Absolutely.
Okay, and then you mentioned about insurance, and we're glad that you all were able to work with the insurance carrier that is currently under contract for Mr. Formosa. But we would also need to see the insurance certificate as well as whatever the agreement is with Mr. Formosa before we would move forward with the amendment.
Okay, no worries. We have actually provided that. Laura has a copy of the insurance certificate and the agreement that we've signed, and we can absolutely provide that to anyone additional. We can send that directly to you. And as I mentioned on the insurance, I just wanted to clarify, we didn't go to work with Jeff Ladd and his broker because they were the provider here. He is the annual provider and has been for a long-standing provider of the insurance for World of Outlaws. So he's insured them for years and will continue to insure them. He's a specialist in motorsports and one of the best in the industry when it comes to motorsports. And so it just happened to work out that way, that it was the same insurance broker and the same company.
Thank you very much.
You talked a little bit about it's about $18,000 of poles and cabling and such, and indicated that it might stay. Tony Formosa's not here right now, so what's your feeling of that conversation?
Through those conversations with Tony, I feel like he wants us to keep that. I mean, there's no reason to take it out. It doesn't prohibit anything from what he's doing on a weekly basis. It actually adds to, provides more safety for the weekly racing that he does. The area that we're using, the little short chute on the front stretch there, he doesn't do a lot of racing on that anymore. It used to be where the Legends cars race, so there's no reason to take it out. It's free improvements for him. So we feel like that we'll probably just leave those, and we're hoping this event's a success. We're happy, this board's happy, Tony's happy, and we're talking about signing a multi-year deal after this.
Regarding the electrical lines, I'm trying to understand, are those utility lines, or are they sort of internal electrical? Trying to understand the nature of those lines.
Yeah, they were, from my understanding, from what they've explained to us, is the Formosas explained, they're not currently using them. They were to provide additional power for the stages when Fan Fest was held in the infield there, when they would do concerts. So they're just temporary lines that are feeding panels in the infield. So it's just a matter of disconnecting from those panels and pulling the cables out, just so the cables aren't over the racetrack. And then we will obviously have our electricians reconnect those to those panels.
So these aren't any kind of lines that NES would get concerned about.
No.
I know obviously the utility gets a little concerned when people mess with those lines. I just want to make sure that they're not.
No, it's not an NES line coming in from outside the property. It's just a feeder line that from an outside utility pole just to get some temporary power to feed a panel in the infield if there were to be a stage for a concert or something. And we'll obviously have a licensed electrician do that to just pull those lines out. We're not as concerned with them, but if something were to happen, we just don't want a car getting up, if something were to get up in the air, we don't want a car getting up into those lines. They're still fairly high, but just to take additional precautions, it's minimal work to disconnect those from that panel and just roll the cables up outside and put them back afterwards.
The only other thing I would have is just Susan, hope the amendment that comes back to the board. I would like to see that representation about cleanup after the fact to be included in contractually. I appreciate the statements from the Outlaws folks saying they're willing to do that cleanup work after if there's any maintenance necessary on the fairgrounds, but obviously would like to see that in the amendment. And yeah.
The way we're postured right now, the amendment was not going to come back to the board for final approval, but we can do that if that's the pleasure of the board, for you to see the written amendment beforehand, because you've taken some action already for us to move forward. But we're happy to bring it back. And I'll include that as well.
Just because it's the first year, I think,
Sure.
just because it's a new partner, I think I would like to see it, and probably would, if we go forward from here, yeah. Just so we know what we're looking at.
Happy to do that.
Yeah.
Assuming that doesn't affect timing or anything.
Is it, yeah, right. That's a good question. Yeah, we're not gonna.
I think we'll look at that. If we feel like April is a little bit too late, we can see if we can organize an earlier meeting.
We just maybe do like we did with the racing contract, maybe delegate board member like Jason to be the board representative and just.
That's something that the board can do if you want to.
Want to make a motion?
Sure. Make a motion to have a board representative, Mr. Jason Bergeron, to work on this matter.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'll just say general discussion. I know we talked ad nauseum about safety and other things last time, but I know now it looks like this moving forward. I think one of the things we talked with Mr. Formosa last week, we had a lot of questions with him. One of the things he said that was, a little concerning to me was he was, not getting the communication he was hoping for with you. So now it looks like we are moving forward, and you're back here, and we are communicating, and just ask that, since we're all partners in this thing, that we, you be very responsive to Laura, Mr. Formosa, and the board's requests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there may have been a little confusion there just between the two parties on how much, how many details they actually wanted from us. The World of Outlaws are used to operating, and they're used to going in and renting a facility, and they handle all their operations from a security plan to staffing to fire, rescue, safety, all of those things. They're used to coming in and doing all that on their own. This is a little different situation because we're leasing a facility from an operator that is used to being involved with all those things. And while it's not necessarily his responsibility for our event, it is his responsibility to you as the leaseholder for the fairgrounds. So we do understand that. And so we're providing all of those plans to the Formosas to make sure they're fully on board. But when it comes to, for our standpoint, our responsibilities, we're making sure that we have all of those plans in place and contracting with all the proper vendors here, from fire and safety, EMS, Metro. From a police standpoint, we're getting all those things in line and taken care of.
Yeah, I guess the last time you were here, which was several months ago, I think we were left with the impression that you were still examining this to see if it was a worthy investment for your company. There were lots of logistics to figure out. So we've asked in subsequent meetings, how's that going? And he wasn't really clear. So I guess what you're saying, you've worked out the logistics and you're ready to go. And
Absolutely.
You've got everything figured out. And
we signed an agreement with the Formosas very shortly after that last meeting. So I apologize that agreement wasn't communicated to this board, that we had signed that and that was in place, and we'd paid them a significant deposit. So all that took place very quickly after that last meeting, once you guys voted to award the amendment contingent on us meeting certain stipulations.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll try to get the rest of this ironed out and see where we could go with it.
And what we'll do is, prior to getting the amendment drafted, we will sit down with the Formosas when they return to town, go over all of this information. We met yesterday at length to go through a lot of these things, and we'll follow up with them prior to processing this and getting the amendment done.
Anybody else?
Any questions for Mr. Deary?
We're good right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Can we deal with it after? Is that fine? Thank you. Okay, I guess we're moving on to new business. We have rate table introductory discussion.
Yeah, I'll just make just kind of a brief introduction. Obviously, we are looking at our rates for the new buildings. I just really wanted to introduce it. Scott Wallace and Marianne Smith, Scott's unfortunately not here today, but just wanted to give you an idea of kind of the approach and the thought process that we're using as we look to evaluate our rates for the new building. From a corporate sales standpoint and our rental events, we've said this in the past. Over the last 2 years, we've done a modest 2% increase. But prior to that, we hadn't raised our fees in over a decade. And so we've been very flat. And that's tough when your expenses continue to increase, but your rates do not. So if you recall, 2 years ago, we implemented a 2% increase, and so we are on our second year of that. There is, as we looked at all the current fees with all of these buildings, we could not discern any rhyme or reason why a building was a rental rate. It really didn't seem to correspond with, say, the amenities that were present in the building, whether it be proximity to the restaurant or restroom facilities or office space. There was just really not a lot of documentation on why buildings were valued at the amount that they were. So we're trying to take a much more thoughtful approach. We're doing some benchmarking with other facilities and sizes. We're also, of course, going into a better space, a more efficient space, an unobstructed space, better electrical, with that being available on the floor versus, drop downs. We've got, obviously, beautiful brand new facilities, while keeping in mind that when we did our strategic plan, one of the strengths that was identified with the fairgrounds was our affordability. So we don't want to price our customers out either. So we're going to take a really thoughtful look at that and make sure that it is not too much of an increase. We don't want to price out our events, and that's been communicated time and again through our user advisory committee as well. So that's kind of the approach that we're taking on corporate sales. A couple of the things that we're going to be navigating is, we're so used to having, 8 buildings with a very wide range from 5,000 square feet up to, the whole complex over by Creative Arts and Exhibitors, which is, 56,000 square feet. So we're also going to figure out a way to structure smaller events. Our middle building, what we call Expo 2, the one that connects both of them, is the smallest of the 3 buildings that is going in. But there are some events like, say, the Fostoria Glass Show, for instance, that generally take 10,000 square feet. So we're going to be also working on what that partial rental looks like, and how to navigate that as well as looking at all of our FF&E, our tables, our chairs, pipe and drape, things like that, and how that corresponds to our rental rates. Marianne is here, and if it's okay with you, I'd like to turn it over to her so she can talk a little bit about flea market rates and how they are currently, and what she's thinking as far as when we move to the new space.
Thank you, Laura. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, as you know, we probably haven't had but 2 rate increases. One being 2011 the other one being 2014. At that time, we raised the booths anywhere from $5 to $10. Most of that being inside the buildings. Shed 2 and Shed 3 prices back in 2014 were lowered at that time because of lack of interest of being out there. And of course, Shed 2 and 3 both are dirt. They're not concrete. So right now, because as Laura has said, we have 9 buildings, we have 7 sheds, and we have 5 lots, which we rent monthly. Anywhere from 600 to 900 dealers. And that will equal close to 2,000 booths. For January and February, we have been very low because we've had so much rain, and that's had a big effect on our booth rentals. And hopefully, March is going to be a lot better because it's coming up right now. We're over 1,500 booth rentals right now. So our booths range in different sizes, mainly like in the Creative Arts Building. We have maybe 3 to 4 different rates for that one building because of the way it's situated and the size of the booths. So hopefully we're going to get that down to one. We'd like to get it down to where the buildings are one rate since we're going into the new buildings, and I think that's going to be feasible to do that too. We have 18 different booth fees at the moment that we rent, 18 of them. We're going to reduce this down to where we have 4, being inside the buildings, the sheds, and the lot spaces. Now, inside the buildings, most of them are going to be 10 by 10. We will have some spaces maybe a little bigger, and the corner spaces are always prime spaces, and we go up at least an extra $10 on those, which we're doing now. Outside sheds and lots, like I say, we'll have a set fee for the sheds and a set fee for the lots also. The sheds and the lots, the sheds now will be all concrete, and we will have Wi-Fi for the sheds, which we haven't had before. So, and I think the dealers are expecting a little rate increase, you know. Like I said, it's been 2014. So our rates are pretty much equal to those around the country. I've checked in some of them. Some of them are more expensive, but they all have different size booths to, you know, rental. So anyway, we are expecting to do a lot of work in getting all these people in the buildings and get them adjusted to the buildings and getting them so that we are going to have a rate increase, but we don't want to scare them to death. So I think it'll be gradual. Do you have any questions?
I'd just like to add that our fee structure, the way it is, as Mary Ann said, with the 18 different fees, there's not a lot of equity. And so we've got outdoor spaces with similar offerings. I'll give you an example where, say, in the sheds, they may be paying $35 for a whole weekend for rent. In another shed, they're paying $68. So again, the equity to our vendors, that's what we have heard, that I understand why they were reduced, but when it rebounded, the fees didn't rebound with them. And so it's a matter of standardization and equity across the board as we look at the fees. And so that's the approach that we're taking. We continue to work on it and hope to present a fee table for you for consideration in April.
Since Scott's not here, I think Allison is going to do.
I
Oh,
did
you
it.
want to? You
I did it already.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, he is, got the flu and a touch of pneumonia at the same time. Anything else?
A few questions. First of all, thank y'all for taking this approach. I think it, as you mentioned, it's kind of good timing. For the non-flea market events, I think I'll particularly very interested in kind of the benchmarking, like you said, the data behind, why you think the rationale for XYZ pricing. Also curious about, what kind of feedback we'll be receiving from, other stakeholders, promoters, CVB, others, and kind of what they think about that. For the flea market as well, I think definitely it's good timing as well as this. And a couple of thoughts as you're kind of putting your details on this was, I know some months were very popular. October, I think, is their most popular. Would you ever see us having I know we have like a waiting list some months, I guess, and, would you see us having, for instance, like a surge pricing that X month may be more, October we may have a more, higher price, or maybe January, February may have a lower price on average? Have you thought about that?
No, I think it'd be better to have the prices stay,
Stable.
what they are. We do increase in April and October, so our April market should be very large also.
Okay. I get it for the simplicity of things, but one other thing, you're talking about, like, kind of how some spots are more valuable, the corners and whatnot. I would think, from the vendor's perspective, or at least I know from the customer perspective, I go to every time, some same vendors, and I want to know where they are. So I think it works both ways, the value from that. And I'm curious, since this is new, kind of thinking of how, like, Titans did a PSL or something like that. I wonder if there may be some type of bidding or, something we could get for reserved spots in the, higher priority areas, instead of just saying, oh, they're, $10 more than the normal price. I mean, somebody may be willing to pay $50 more if it's right at the entrance. So I would like you to at least explore that and see what that may look like, at least from either a monthly standpoint or a, initial reservation type of system for the high priority areas.
We need to get some feedback from the vendors, obviously. We are working on a way to get that feedback so that we can get more specific information from them on how we're going to transition and how those booth reassignments are going to work, to your point. What we have heard loud and clear from the vendors is seniority is incredibly important, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's got to be some perk for having a booth for 30 years or 40 years,
40
which we
years,
do have
yeah.
vendors
We have some.
here that have been here over 40 years. But then again, they also are very interested in staying within what we're calling their neighborhoods. So, sports arena is a really good example of it. Mary Ann tells me time and time again how much they have expressed to her that they want to be able to have the option to stay together as a group. And so what we're looking at in the current layout is how to accomplish those and establish those areas within the building. So when they come in, if we get good feedback that the seniority idea is good and this neighborhood assignment is good, then they can come in and choose within a certain block of area so that they can stay together. I think that's
a great idea, and I kind of think from the same standpoint, maybe neighborhood, but also kind of a product mix too. You might have your antique area, your, outdoor goods or whatever.
Well, the way I'm putting it is kind of strange, but I'm saying, like, take a building like sports arena. Take it and put it like right there, and that's that part of Expo 1, 2, or 3. That's keeping them together, and it's simplifying the way we want to do it. A lot of our customers are used to seeing people in the same area. Like you go in the ag building, and like take that building, put it right there in Expo, whatever.
I guess just my main ask, I understand where we're trying to get, more simplistic, but also like we're going into this and it's going to be like this for a really long time. So let's think creative in how we can do some things, because it's whatever we go out there to market with, it's going to be pretty stationary.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, we're still working on that. Yeah, we're still working on that with surplus and things that we can bring over. We're inventorying all of our furniture now. So it's kind of twofold, is, our transitioning of our furniture over to the new office, as well as what we offer for rental. It is anticipated that we'll get some brand-new furniture. We're pretty low on not the nice padded chairs here, but we've got some folding chair issues, and we've got to restock some of our tables. They're looking pretty sad, so we're going to be looking at FF&E purchase through this project as well. And hopefully, new pipe and drape.
Did you have a question about the World of Outlaws? Do you want to ask the board here? You want to step up and ask the board?
The 40 feet,
Could you identify yourself?
yeah, Ken Joyce, the 40 feet safe zone from the catch fence, is that going to be temporary fencing just to keep people out of that area? And is that going to be permanent after you guys leave? Okay. Add that, and you made comment about the short shoot in regards to the Legends area. Could you identify that area? Where's that location at?
Yeah, everybody's asking who you're with, who you're representing.
I'm just a citizen that has a business that's involved in racing. Okay.
Can I offer a little bit of guidance on this? So if you'd like to hear more, is the comments need to be directed to the board, and then the board can decide if the board wants to hear more from World of Outlaws on that. So that's kind of how that needs to go. And we appreciate you being here, but if you can direct your comments and questions to the board, then they can decide if that's something. They may be able to answer your question also. So that's kind of how we need to proceed, if that's okay.
Is there any further?
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thanks. All right, and on the rate table, we're finished with that topic as well for now. I'm sure there'll be further discussion next month and months beyond. And the next piece of new business is consideration of an updated smoking policy.
Yes, so you have a draft in your packet. This topic was brought up as we are working with our project management team. We have a LEED Silver requirement for the new buildings. And in review of our existing smoking policy, we wanted to make sure that it complied with our operations, with what the board had adopted in the past, plus to make sure that it complied with metro ordinances as it relates to smoking. So we have updated that. As you can see, we've had a non-smoking policy, a longstanding policy at the fairgrounds to prohibit smoking within the buildings. And in May of 2014, the Board of Fair Commissioners amended the policy to include the use of e-cigarettes. Also in compliance with Metro Ordinance that, of course, specifies that there is no smoking in non-metropolitan government buildings, and posting of signs, which we will add to our project. What I've done is amended our policy to make sure that in addition to not being able to smoke within the buildings, ordinance states that you are not supposed to allow smoking that could be infiltrate the building. So generally, that has been 25 to 30 feet. We've just updated our policy to say that it's most appropriate to be 30 feet from the building due to the fact that the canopies or the porch that surrounds the expo facility is 30 feet. We've included the arena on that as well because it is immediately adjacent to Expo 1, and to do a partial building, a partial structure may be difficult. So the entire show arena was included on that as well. That is the update.
The sheds are not included in that?
I worked on the state legislation on this, so I'm a little bit familiar with this. But I guess one thing I want to ask Susan, there's an AG opinion that came out a few years ago about this. I know recently state had to do legislation just around Ascend Amphitheater because it wasn't it had to get past state preemption on that. So we want to make sure that we're not just in compliance with Metro, but state statute on this. And to Bonna's comment, I mean, I think I would, personally, as someone who's allergic to smoke, but also has family, and we want to have a family-friendly atmosphere here, to make sure that we make this as broad as legally possible, and looking at whether the sheds under the racetrack canopy, Fair Park. I know that maybe parks are under a different jurisdiction as well. So just looking at those options as we, and also I see a typo in that posting of signs comment too. Just to see, I don't think we can in any open air areas. Yeah, I don't even know if we can do the 30 feet of building. I think that's actually in state statute as well, but just to make sure we're all kind of congruent. I don't think we're able to do a lot of that, but I would love to just see what.
I'll be happy to review it in light of those comments and review it in light of the state law as well, and then we can bring it back maybe on the April agenda for further review.
Presuming we are able to at least keep including the canopy overhang around the new expo buildings, do we have plans to have sort of signage that makes that clear in that area on the porches?
Signage is required in the Metro ordinance.
Yeah. And so we have plans budgetarily for that and all that stuff. That's part of the.
Yes.
Okay.
One other thing that may be in your research is, I know some of the sheds we're talking about maybe we'll be tinting those at certain events, and so how we would handle that in terms of a open air a lot of the times, if we, not.
What do, curious, let's say flea market vendors that might be smokers, what do they do? Is there an area they can go to, or what do they do now?
We don't have designated smoking spaces. Obviously, they don't smoke within the buildings, but there really hasn't been any signage outside about, this perimeter, an exterior perimeter. So it's open air.
And out in the rain.
Yes,
if you
stand
want
out
to
in the rain.
smoke.
So we'll absolutely work with Susan to make sure that it's in compliance with everything else as well. Not a problem.
Okay. All right, so this will to be continued. And I don't know if anybody else has anything, but Scott Jones is here. Is there anything you want to discuss with us? Talk about the state fair?
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Like Laura said earlier, we met a couple of weeks ago, looked over, I guess, the latest drawing. Of course, we talked about numerous topics and things that probably the biggest concerns, and a lot of those that Laura had to needed some time to go find the answers to. So we're meeting today at 1 o'clock, so hopefully we can find the answers to some of those questions that we had. And of course, that was the first layout that I've looked at that had elevations. Most everything else that we've seen in the past, once they moved the sheds to the side, it didn't really have elevation. So, and of course, you know, looking at it now, I mean, we do have some concerns on I guess it's building 1, the far side next to the parking lot. Of course, we'll discuss a little more at 1 about it, but it looks like there's steps all the way down, pretty much to, I guess, the roll-up door where you go in the building. So for us, you know, most of all of our vendors and everything's either livestock animals got to walk, or our vendors are on carts. So, you know, that'll kind of limit loading from that parking lot in the buildings to pretty much 1 entrance. So I just wanted to let y'all know that, because that is you know, going up and down steps, people don't carry things like that. They roll things on carts, or we have livestock animals. So hopefully we can address that at 1 and maybe look at some options of way to get in and out of those buildings. And then of course some waste removal issues, and inside the building will be some other tackles that we'll have to address and try to, you know, of course, we definitely don't want to damage the buildings. I've looked personally at, they have squeegees, basically, you can put on skid steers, so you can squeegee the building out in the shed so you don't beat the concrete up as much as what we used to do. So there are some things and steps that we're looking at on our end to preserve the pristine look of the building. So, but it's going to be, it'll be challenging, but hopefully today at 1 we can have some, you know, a little more talks and try to find some answers to some things. Also this Friday at 9 a.m. the State Commission is having their first meeting here on the grounds in the Ag Building. So you are definitely invited if any of you would like to attend. That's their first called meeting. They're going to have to, you know, pick a chairman, vice chair, all that kind of good stuff at the first meeting. But and they were wanting to be here on the ground so they could see the site firsthand and kind of get a feel of what it looks like. So,
Do you typically send things like that to Laura so that she can?
Okay, I will do. I will do that today. So.
You have an agenda already for the meeting?
I do not. It really doesn't fall under, I just got a phone call to see if we could secure a meeting location. The agenda part of, here on the ground.
In this room or?
Ag Hall.
Okay.
There's something else in this building that day, so we just decided to go in the Ag Hall, being a fair meeting, so Ag Hall would be appropriate. They did ask, and of course I was going to talk to Laura today, if maybe, you know, at some point at the end of the meeting, if they could use some golf carts to offer tours and things, you know, just to kind of go down and look and stuff like that. So, but yeah, this is their first meeting. It's kind of, I guess, new for their structure, so to see how it falls.
I guess I'm just curious, because we're T-minus 6 months now from the state fair. If we have like a set go, no go, because I know those dates are precious to us, and if the State Fair Commission decides not to hold the fair here, what may be our plan to, you know, use those dates for other things if need as a backup plan?
We're proceeding that it is here.
Okay.
We've always had those dates blocked out on our calendar, and we're full steam ahead that it's here.
I hope it is, but I think it's our job to be prudent in light of, you know, recent restructuring with the state fair to have a backup plan.
And we'll need to.
I think we'll know more after this meetings today and next week, but just something I wanted
Exactly.
to say.
And we'll, you know, we still have to negotiate a new contract. So that is the next step. So we're trying to, for the more immediacy, we knew we needed to get that logistics discussion started and get those plans. But, you know, that is the logical next step is we'll, you know, I presume that we'll have a board representative as part of those negotiations, but, you know, certainly interested in and needing a contract going into 2019 fair.
Oh.
All right. Thank you. Hope to see you on Friday.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, is there any other business before the board? All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Someone who didn't sleep much.
It's been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.org.